this point, I'm pretty sure Dandadan is entirely unpredictable. Whether it was Koki's backstory from the last chapter, or heck, Turbo Granny leaving, or the gang being sent back into space in this chapter in a moment that I personally never saw coming. I mean, you can't simply predict what Tatsu will do, which, hey, you know, One Piece and Chainsaw Man are exactly like that too, and those are my current favorites. So heck yeah, I'm all for it. Also, stick around and subscribe to the channel. This week, I've got an extra video coming out on some things I've missed in recent chapters and sort of discussing them. So we pick up from the last chapter with one of the craziest encounters in a while. Aira and Okaroon are locked in the classroom as Sakata, Gigi, and Vomola are separated. And once the trio gets that door opened, they go in to find just a normal class with normal people, while Okaroon, Momo, and Aira are now in the classroom in empty space, something that we've not seen in a good minute now. Also, side note, I love how Tatsu drew Momo in this panel. Since she's so tiny, it's a good way to get around that issue. But here is something that has me very curious. Okaroon points out that even though he's without Turbo Granny's powers, he is still in space. So how is that possible? Well, I think at this point, literally anything could happen or be used to explain it, but my best effort at a guess is that it's the same reason he is so physically fit now. His body has gotten used to being turbocharged by, well, Turbo Granny, and thus his body has retained some of its powers. Now, the question arises in that theory, are these powers permanent or will they eventually wear off? If it's the aforementioned, this means that from now on, Okaroon may not even need Turbo Granny, and that would free her up to do other things narratively. On the flip side, if it wears off, then eventually Okaroon will become one of the most powerless in the group, and I would imagine he would get Turbo Granny back, but otherwise, you know, that's my guess. Okaroon's body has retained some of Turbo Granny's powers, and that is why he is able to be transported to space. But another question sort of that arises, how in the heck are they in space? This was a real head scratcher too, but I think this possibly means that the guy in the locker and possibly the guy who blackmailed poor Koki are aliens and possibly one and the same. This is the only thing I can think up right now that would explain this. Maybe the subversion here is that you expected Koki to be contacted and given powers by some sort of spirit or entity, but maybe this time it's an alien with like insane technology or a race of aliens that seem paranormal but aren't. This would change a lot about Dandadan in terms of what to expect. Also, you gotta think too, maybe this means aliens and ghosts are about to team up and work together for some greater cause eventually. Just a thought. But I also have another Hail Mary theory on top of that, inspired by some comments and theories that I've seen floating around, so all the credit really goes to them. I'm just kind of interpreting it through my own stupid words. But what if Okaroon... What if Okaroon has another spirit or even aliens inside of him? What if it wasn't just Turbo Granny and someone or something else? Something that isn't just leaving an imprint of powers behind, but actually a spirit that nobody knows about just yet. If so, Turbo Granny may have already known about this, which could have been another reason she chose to leave. After all, she knows Okaroon and the gang will be just fine as they're all capable. So Aira, realizing the situation as Okaroon is randomly attached to a table for some reason, tries to defend her husbando, and in doing so, her skirt attaches to Okaroon's pants and Aira's heart skips so many beats, she's possibly about to have heart attack or stroke. And while that is playing out, knives fly out of seemingly nowhere as Momo and Aira try their best to defend Okaroon as the latter gets stuck in the most awkward position possible with Okaroon. And there is, by the way, always something that cracks me up when Aira hopelessly crushes over Okaroon, and then Momo just gets hella pissed off because of it. Also, I love how Aira randomly turned into a lady from the 1800s trying to be courted by someone. Just, you know, randomly just like, oh, this must mean that we are most honorably betrothed, Okaroon. Oh, yes, yes indeed. Now, please, give me 16 children or else we won't survive next winter. Anyways, the pygmies, they are back, the same ones that were given to Koki as her power at the end of, I think it was 169, and these little fellas with their weird masks can essentially sew and create things at insane speeds. Thankfully, they're no match for tiny Momo as she kicks them off Aira and Okaroon, and in the process, Momo is able to sever the threads between Aira and Okaroon, and I'm guessing that she really needed to do that, or she may have killed Aira and Okaroon herself. I also think this means that Koki is probably tied to this attack and she's the one behind it. That being said, still still questions arise. Who in the heck gave her these powers? But what is most surprising is that Momo is the only person who can see them. And on top of that, they are everywhere. Seriously, this reminds me so much of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or actually of the Tontadas from One Piece. You know, the Tontadas, they talk like this. Like literally, they are everywhere. And honestly, I hope they all have like their little own personalities. Maybe like, I don't know, one likes cucumbers a lot or the other wants to be a model. We may not get that kind of granular focus on their personality. So this is my own personal headcanon if they're a bunch of cute little goobers. However cute they may be, they are quite dangerous too, creating a lot of horrific traps for the other three goobers, and one makes a launcher for cooking knives. The other group creates like, I don't know, like a bedding of spikes or something like that out of needles. I guess it's like a trap form or something. Also, some in the background have created what looks to be bows using needles. Youch. I also think it's kind of hilarious that these Tontadas made Ira's skirt shorter too. It's like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna create a lot of death traps, but also we're gonna have a little fun and troll, you know? But Ira coming in clutch, as she always does, by the way, figures that if they're everywhere in the room, then they must be really easy to hit. So she uses her hair to try and destroy everything in the room, but instead she suddenly can't move. Turns out these little buggers decided to tie her up all over the place and even burn some of her hair in the case of the stove turning on and lighting her hair on fire. So guys, this chapter was equal parts insane and nostalgic. It's just so nice to go back to this more simple approach. I think it's also called for because we've just gone through a lot of changes in the series, with Turbo Granny leaving for a bit and the introduction of Koki, who is already proving to be an S+ character in my opinion. So I think we needed something more in line with our usual happenings, which is to say something completely random and unpredictable. But my guess on how this encounter may end, I think it is kind of simple for this one. The key here is that the fire that burned Ira's hair may possibly be used to combat the Tontadas. I mean, it makes sense. They used thread, Ira's hair was burned, put two and two together, you know, Ira the arsonist. Or better yet, Ira the Atronach. After all, she needs to, you know, get payback for the ruined skirt and all. This also may mean Ira's hair will be singed a little bit too, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Otherwise, in my opinion, this was an amazing chapter, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. Apologies if the video seems a tad short or a little undercooked. Listen, I'm gonna be real here. I've got 5 channels, and I'm gonna be doubly honest, I can't really afford editors at the moment, so this kind of caught up to me and my hands got injured while working. Still, I have to work, so the videos must continue, but they will be at this sort of level for a couple weeks. I hope you guys and gals will understand that, and I do apologize if that disappoints anyone. But thank you everyone for your support, and remember, a new Dandadan video is coming this week on some things I've missed, since I want to make this video a little bit shorter. Plus, I'd say within the next 2 weeks, we'll finally start catching up on Kagurabachi content every Sunday. We'll just see how my hands are. Want to say thank you so much for all the support everyone has been showing me. I'm truly honored, and it's inspiring me to take the right necessary steps to recover as much as I possibly can. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.